You're in a fun colored shirt today, though.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's a nice new one. I haven't seen this one yet.
This is, well, actually, if you look at it, can you tell what?
Are they trees?
There are some trees.
Okay.
Can you?
Oh, are those unicorns?
We're getting there. That is a unicorn. If you look at my boobs, will that help?
What is happening? Is this about, I'm not understanding. Are these zodiac signs? No.
No.
What is, I don't get it. There's a car and a tree.
There is a car. This is a Harry Potter shirt.
Oh, God, you're one of those. I'm not a Harry.
What? You're not?
No.
No?
I literally don't get it.
Well,
I don't get the hype.
then we can either switch and talk all about Harry Potter, or we can end this call because clearly this friendship was built off of lies.
This is funny. Yeah, I think a lot of people's gateway into reading was Harry Potter. It wasn't mine. I love reading.
It was
Don't
not
love Harry
mine.
Potter.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it was not mine. My introduction.
You read other things and then you read that and still liked it?
No. So
This is highly controversial, I'm sure, but I just,
my introduction to Harry Potter, I think, was mostly the movies. Like the movies were coming out and they just looked cool, and it was coming out when we were young. So
I did go see some of the movies with like friends for their birthdays, or I was like, yeah, younger when a lot of them were coming out. And so, yeah, I thought the movies were okay.
yeah, it was good. But the only way, because like my mom is wonderful and Mexican, and she believes in like witchcraft and everything, that she swore that if we read the books that like we would be possessed, and so she was very much against it. Oddly enough, like a sweet neighbor, old man, we would take him out to dinner like every week, and he was like, "Hey, are y'all gonna go see the new like Harry Potter movie?" And I don't know what possessed my mom. It must have been witchcraft, but she was like, "Oh yeah, 100%." We heard that and we're like, yeah, we're not going to let you back down. You said yes. So she ended up compromising and saying, well, I will take you to go see it if you read the book. And I said, sure.
I thought you were going to say, and I was going to say, like, a great Hispanic woman logic, speaking from experience. But I thought she was going to say, well, no, you can't read it, but fine, we'll go watch the movie.
She was screwed either way, but no, I don't know why, even to this day, because she was very adamant about us not being exposed to it. And then, like I said, the neighbor, in one line, he just shattered her entire worldview or logic. And yeah, so it's a Harry Potter shirt.
Wow. Well, it looks good on you. And it does not look like clearly Harry Potter, else I would have been like, what is that? But it's tasteful. I do like it. Speaking of Hispanic women, how's your wife feeling? We were supposed to meet yesterday, and poor Paola was sick.
That is a good segue.
Thank you.
You got it. Yeah, we were supposed to meet yesterday, but my wonderful wife got sick. Again, more kind of Hispanic lore. I don't know if this is true or not, but
Was she walking around the house barefoot? She caught the cold.
no,
Walked outside
happened,
with her hair wet. Sorry, I'll
what,
stop.
maybe, no, this time, think according to other Mexican sources, is that she didn't pump, or she held on to her breast milk for too long.
See, and it is interesting because I don't actually know if that one has any truth, but
I don't know
like
if
it'd be
any of them
kind of
do.
funny if it did because it also totally sounds like a made up Hispanic.
Yeah, I have no idea, but it just so happens that yes, like we left the house yesterday to go run some errands, and she was feeling a little kind of like tight and full, and by the time I come home the next day, or like that night, I think she's just like buried in blankets and like hot sweats and everything. And so we were supposed to meet yesterday, but apparently, unfortunately, she was under the weather, and being the gracious and amazing friend that you are, you decided to now squeeze me in on a very busy day. So
Oh my
here
gosh,
I
but I thought you were gonna say being like the gracious and amazing dad I am. Like I helped with the baby, which you did, and it was like good job, Dad. Right decision, correct decision. And
yeah,
how I don't think we've I think I've alluded to her and given you shout outs as a dad multiple times, but how long has it been now? Like a month? Is she a month old?
yeah, she is actually, you're kind of spot on. She was a month on the 26th. So yeah, we're just shy of maybe like a month and a week. Yeah.
And I feel like you're always very put together. You love to just be like, yeah, whoa, it's crazy. Like, oh yeah, it's just, not that much sleep, but it's been fine.
hmm It has been, but
How are
it
you really?
how am I really? An actual check-in. Yeah, I think I am doing well. I am very, very happy. I am doing fine. I think I'm blessed to have an amazing support system, not just from like the family. Like I have my immediate family, my parents, my siblings, they've been great. My brother-in-law, both of them have been really, really supportive. But her family too. Her family, more Mexican lore. Like they do like a kind of like a 40-day kind of thing. So her mom has been spending like almost daily, like has been spending all days with her, which is what let me go back to work so soon without too much guilt. And so I do love that we have so much support. But, a month later, I am kind of able to reflect a little bit, and it was like a pretty tough experience for me, especially like the childbirth thing. So that was something I really wasn't expecting. That was something that I wasn't prepared for, even though I felt very prepared for, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I even remember you texting me when she was born, and when I was like, "Oh my gosh, like how'd your wife do? How did it go?" And it was like a multiple day, it sounded like, experience. And just even your recap to me over text, I was like, okay, I don't think, not that I think any birthing experience is like, wow,
Yeah.
amazing. Like I've never felt better. But like that, it didn't particularly seem like it went amazing.
So here's the breakdown. Like let me tell you the story.
Yeah.
Ending first, I think it did go as well as it can go. I think it was an amazing thing from what everyone in the room, like all the doctors and all the nurses, from what they shared, this was a perfect birth. Best case scenario that you could ever think of. From my experience, like I can hear that and I can accept that, but it was very difficult for me to kind of like be a part of. And so I guess getting like one thing out of the way, and I think I've shared this before, that if not on an episode, I think like with you personally, that I want to be a partner. That's what kind of compelled me to kind of join the field is I knew that what I wanted to do was be a partner. And so I wanted to be the best partner I could. That's what I've been training for, right? So I say that because a lot of people, I think, when kids kind of come into the conversation, I think a lot of people talk about wanting to be parents. Like when you're an adult, where do you see yourself? And a lot of people say, with kids, yeah, I want to be a parent. When you think about pursuing a committed relationship, why? Because I would like to have children, right? Having kids, I think is, at least from my experience, has been a very common thing in this conversation of adulthood. But for me, what I wanted to do when I grew up is I wanted to be a partner. I wanted to be a husband. I believe that children are a natural product of the love between, partners. And so while I think I always kind of saw myself as having kids, I never really lived with the intention of having kids. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like some people are like, I was born to be a mom or a dad, vice versa. I dated someone like that. And that's partly why I was like, I don't know if we're perfect for each other. But yes, yes, yes. I think very different that perspective than knowing you've always wanted to be a parent.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I am married to a wonderful woman, and that's the person who I want to be with. I love my kid, don't get me wrong. Right? My kid's cool. She's fine. Wouldn't trade her for the world. But like that's my wife, right? That's my wife.
Danny, we have talked about this, and I remember that was a part of when I was like, oh, we just get each other. Because I remember we were talking about how some people, I think it's just different to me. My brain doesn't work this way. And I think some people are like, oh, above everything is a religion, like is God, and then my family. Or maybe it's like my kids, and then my spouse. And it is a personal opinion that I'm like, oh, hold on. Wait a minute. If you didn't have the love for your spouse, how'd the kids get here? And then that love over, and I'm not saying I feel like it's like, oh, you don't know that kind of love until and that's fair. But I'm just with you. I always viewed it as we're either all on the same pedestal here, or I'm picking husband and kids. Sorry. It's just like I got it. We've always said we have two dogs, and it's like, who's got to go? It's like you'd have to kill the second one first. It's just by default. You had the first one first. It doesn't matter how much you like or dislike either of them. It's just how it goes. And so I fully agree. I don't think everyone agrees, which is very okay. But I see where you're coming from.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope my beautiful child is not watching this like 10 years later and like thinking of us very, very poorly. I love you. You are amazing. I would not trade you for the world. And I am in love. I am crazy about your mom. Like that's who I want to be with.
Which I think is good for kids to feel, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry. Keep going.
So we did some classes together. We did the thing. I read a lot of books. I got as prepared as I could. Obviously, nothing can ever prepare you for like the actual event, but let's actually cut to the event. So my wonderful wife is she was I don't know if like this was her anxiety or whatever, but she actually worked so close up to her due date. I found out that a lot of expecting mothers, they tend to take like the last month off. She took the last week off.
Wow.
Yeah. And so she was fine. I think her actual, what is it called? Like when they're carrying that whole just pregnancy. I think her pregnancy was really, really good. She's a freaking trooper. She was probably doing a lot more things than she should have, but she was very active. She stayed very healthy. It was so cool that that this job, right? This job that we have as like private practitioners, we get to kind of build our own schedule. And so I think it was so cool that I was able to be a part of like 99% of the appointments to like see like the pictures and like all the ultrasounds and everything. And so I really do feel like I was a part of the process, and that was really cool for me. And so here we are. She's finally at the end, and this is our weekend, like our last weekend. And then she's going to have 1 week of prep. And she was like, I'm going to be just exercising all week, doing all of my like stretches and exercise to kind of get ready for the baby. It was Sunday night, and we had just finished watching a show with my sister and brother-in-law. We all kind of meet on Sundays to watch like some shows, and then we just talk shit about it for an hour, and then we go to bed. It's
It's
really
cute,
fun.
but you guys do that like every Sunday?
Yeah, yeah. Like if there's any shows that we're both kind of all interested in, it's kind of nice little like double date kind of thing. We'll just meet up and just watch it
Oh, I
together.
love that. It's like an alternative to, I know a lot of families do like Sunday dinners, or if they live close, it's like everyone will kind of get together on Sunday for a meal or something. I love the watching a show concept.
Yeah, a lot of fun. So we watched the show. We went to bed at maybe like around 11:30. She wakes me up about an hour later. It's like 12:30, and she's like, "I think my water broke." So we were super confused because in movies and in media, what I see, the most recent one I picture is, have you seen White Lotus?
Yes. Yeah,
Have you
with her
seen?
mucus plug.
Yeah, the episode 1 from the first season. She just like explodes on the floor. Now, I imagine that's a little traumatic because it's a show, but that is kind of like what I expect because I've seen it so many times done like
Yeah.
that. This was just a small little like dot.
Okay. Okay.
Really like,
To that point though, Danny, I do think it's funny. My friend, one of my really good friends in high school, her parents were both doctors or like ER people. And the mom, I don't know if she had worked in delivery for a while but either way, they're both doctors. And I remember one time we were watching some show and the girl talked, it honestly might have been 16 and pregnant. And they talked about how they had to cut from her vagina to, or it ripped, how it ripped from her
yeah,
like vagina to her vulva or whatever to like her anus. And we were like, that's gross. And the mom walked in like right then and she was like, oh my God, if it doesn't rip, we cut it for you. You don't feel it. And I just remember that was like the first moment that I was like, oh my God, we don't talk about this shit. Or like, why are not women everywhere? It's like, as just everyone's like, oh my gosh, yeah, like she's so beautiful.
mhm.
I'd be like, you have no fucking idea what it's like down there. Battle zone. I don't know. Yeah, we don't talk about the truth of these things, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is actually realistic. But anyway, so she just has like a dot.
Yeah, just a small little dot on the bed. And she was like, I think my water broke. And so we're like, fuck, dude, this was supposed to be your week off. Like
Oh,
your
so this isn't even, it was the start of her week
this
off.
was the start of her week off. Poor thing didn't even get any time to herself. And I was like, no. Part of it was just sleep. Part of it was maybe like anxiety or whatever, denial. I was like, it's probably your mucus plug because everything that we're reading is like that comes first and then the actual, bag breaks. So whatever, call the nurse. We'll be fine. We just got to bed and everyone keeps on saying, why don't you just go to the hospital? like every nurse, every person that she talks to. We're like, whatever. The hospital's 10 minutes away. Let's just go. Let's just see whatever it is. You'll be back in bed in a couple of hours and we'll be fine. Cut to maybe 2 hours later. My wife is inside the hospital. They had checked her in for observation, and I get a phone call from her, and she says, "Nope, I'm in delivery. They are like admitting me officially. I will let you know."
Was she having crazy contractions or anything?
No, well, we found out a little later that maybe she was, but I think she had like iron-willed herself into not really considering them contractions. She had said, like in retrospect, she was like, "Yeah, I was feeling a little something, but I thought that was just like, no, this can't be a contraction because I'm expecting it to be bigger, or I'm also expecting to have another fucking week. So this, I don't know what this is, but it can't be a contraction." But I think afterwards she was like, "Oh yeah, those were probably contractions."
But I love it. She overshot it. She's like, I expect this pain to be a 20 million out of 10, so it
Yeah.
only worked out in her favor.
Yeah, yeah, that is something that she was doing, like mentally preparing, like every little discomfort. She was all like, "This is a drop in the bucket of what I'm about to do. You are fine." And so by the time we got there, I think, yeah, she wasn't considering them to be actual contractions. So I was in the waiting room for maybe about like 2 hours, just waiting to get her admitted. I don't even know, like suited up, robed in a bed, plugged up to all the things, have, the IV stuff
Yeah.
like in her. So it maybe like two feels like 2 hours later, I finally was able to see her. The labor was 14 and a half hours.
Which
So
the crazy part is I've heard so much longer than that, but
mhm.
that also feels so long.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I coincidentally have quite a few clients right now that are preparing to be first-time dads as well, and some of them have had their children, and they're telling me like, yeah, labor, not delivery, not pushing, labor was like 48 hours. And so again, by all measures, this was a freaking walk in the park. We started off with like 0 or like 2 centimeters dilated. And in 14 hours, 14 and a half hours, she went from like 0 to 2 to like 10 plus 2.
God. I just can't even. What the female body can do just blows my mind.
Yeah.
My God.
And she also chose to do the delivery all natural. And so, meaning she had no epidural, she had no medication, she had nothing for the pain.
Holy
She just,
shit.
Game of Thrones.
And at no point during that was she like, I messed up, bring it in.
I'm pretty sure she thought about that hundreds of times through it, but she didn't voice it. She didn't tell me. No. She stuck to her convictions and like went through
God,
the
your
entire
wife is
thing.
so much better than me. I just, your will. Oh my God. I'd literally be like, this is your fault.
Yeah.
How is this happening?
Yeah. And so I wasn't prepared for how like hard that would be to watch. I don't know what it's like when someone is on an epidural. I hear that like everything goes numb and so they can't really feel what's going down there. But when your partner isn't on anything, they feel everything. And obviously, the closer that we are getting to the delivery time, the more intense the pain is, the longer it's for, and the sooner the next contraction comes. And so it does feel like really hopeless. Again, I don't know what it's like for someone who feels as if they're meant to be a parent. And a lot of people have been asking me that. They're like, "Oh, now that you're a dad, how do you feel?" And I still don't believe that I have a good answer.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, because of my faith and my worldviews, I've felt like a father since conception. And even if you say, well, I mean, obviously that's different. It's like, yeah, I'm not saying that it's not, but have I been making life changes since I found out that I was going to have a child? Yeah. Have I
Well, and
been?
I've also, for what it's worth, I've also heard it's very different, obviously, from the male's perspective than the female in a hetero couple, blah, blah, blah. But I've heard it's obviously very different because you're not, Paula's like growing this thing, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
she feels her. She is like going through changes and, how she looks, her emotions, cravings, just everything.
Hmm.
And so I've heard it can obviously feel much more real, quote unquote, or just impactful at the early stages for a mom, like when she's carrying, versus a dad who's like, oh, cool, I'm seeing my wife do this. Obviously, I know something's coming, but that's very different than growing a child.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that does kind of contribute to a little dissonance. Again, also when I think about how well my wife carried, like how well just the pregnancy was, it is hard to then consider how much pain she can actually be in,
Yeah.
you know? And so, yeah, not only am I agreeing with you in that, like, as much as I do want to feel as if we are kind of going through something, it's happening inside of you. Like, you have this instantaneous feedback loop that confirms that you are actually doing this, whereas me, I'm really just seeing you grow. But it's so weird to kind of, I can't be on your level, to then have you do it so gracefully and beautifully and then see you go through so much pain. Like, that was a weird shift. I think it would be different if my partner was complaining the whole time. If my partner had been in pain and had been vocalizing that throughout the pregnancy, then it's like, okay, cool, this is what I've been listening to for the past 9 months. But to have my partner be so just so graceful is the only word that comes to mind, just like so graceful throughout the whole thing, to then go through that was really hard. Because going back to the whole wanting to be a father thing, I can imagine that people who feel as if they're born to be parents, you might still be kind of looking at that whole experience with this anticipatory excitation, right? Oh my God, our child's coming.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I wasn't thinking about the baby. I knew the baby was healthy. I knew the baby was fine. And granted, I'm sure that information calmed my nerves in that area. If we had known that maybe there were some complications, then my mind may have been split. But all I can just look at is my wife kind of going
Hmm.
through these things. Like every contraction, she was like asking me to kind of like put pressure on her. There's like sensations that she was really uncomfortable with and didn't really know like what they meant. And like every time she was like kind of contracting, I just felt very helpless, like very kind of useless. Like I didn't really know what I could do, you
Hmm.
know? Because part of it is like, get this girl some drugs, you know? But is that for me or is that for her? Is that for her, or like what does that do to the baby? Like, there's so many things that you never feel as if you have a right answer for. And then we finally made it to like we finally made it to around 4:30 when she was fully dilated, and then they checked, they're like, yep, you are well ready. Delivery itself was about 3 minutes.
Wow.
Hmm. Yeah, again, by all metrics, this was a simple, clean, and easy birth. 3 minutes.
I wouldn't downplay it though. Yes, I think everything went well and that's great. But like, that's no 14 hours of labor is no joke.
It's not. It's not compared to other horror stories. Yes, I'm not trying to like diminish anything that she went through. Not at all. I want to say that almost just to kind of I don't know if maybe to just kind of like soothe myself, because what I experienced as a husband was something that I didn't really know how to kind of understand or really know
Hmm.
what to do with when it was happening. Afterwards, it just feels very numbing and dissonant. She kind of brought me in close when we were getting about ready to push, and she was like, I want to make sure that you stay with the baby at all times, because I guess sometimes they'll take the baby to clean them up and everything. Thankfully, we had an amazing hospital, we had an amazing team, the baby never left our sight. But to be honest with you, and what I did tell her is that had they taken the baby, I honestly don't know if I could have gone with them, because I could not think about leaving you. Even just like watching the whole birth happen is hard. Not because like I'm afraid of blood or anything, I was pre-med before I went into therapy.
Yeah.
And so I've worked with cadavers. I've done
Ooh.
dissections. I'm okay with all of that stuff. Like that's totally fine for me.
If I were a husband, I would faint and make it entirely about me by accident and be like, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
really tried.
I've heard a lot of people are like, no, I ain't looking down there. I saw the whole thing from breech to sewing her up.
Oh my
And
God.
not only was I completely fine with it, blood doesn't bother me or anything, but it almost kind of felt like an obligation. Like I have to witness this out of respect for everything that you're
Yeah.
going through. But yeah, my entire concern was how are you doing? And so it was really hard to kind of enjoy my child the first couple of hours or even the first couple of days. My kid was great. My kid wasn't fussy, wasn't colicky. You can hear babies screaming in other rooms, and our kid isn't like that. But it was still hard to kind of like
Because
be
she
with
has
her.
Mexican parents, she knows. I'm kidding.
I didn't really feel as if I can like, enjoy that because everything was so much about my wife's recovery and how she was doing. There were so many things that come after that we weren't expecting. She did tear and getting sewn up and needing to go like to the bathroom and doing all that stuff. It was a tough experience. It was a tough experience. Then coming back and speaking to some of my clients about like, their own experiences, and I found out that I felt like I was really missing something. You know, it feels weird, and I guess what I'm struggling to say is that there doesn't seem to be a lot of resources to kind of help people in our position. So I started doing a lot of research, and there is a lot of research done on like the women's experience of childbirth, but there's not a lot of research being done on the man's experience of childbirth. And so I thought it might be kind of smart to share what's kind of going on for people if you guys are preparing to have a kid. Maybe this will help any expecting fathers to kind of maybe better prepare themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I decided to look at a study in the midwifery called First Time Fathers Experiences of Childbirth, a cross-sectional study. One of the biggest things that we found is 20% of men don't actually get any antenatal education.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, sadly, I'm not surprised, but like, what a bummer.
Mm-hmm. And for those who did get any antenatal education, what that means is, you know, all like the parenting classes, the support classes that you get at the beginning, they actually support to have like some better experiences. But there seems to be two kind of general, what's the word? Two general outcomes that they either believe that their experiences were really positive or that their experience was really traumatic.
Wow.
For those of us, for men, for fathers who go into the childbirth experience and believe that it's traumatic, they're often citing symptoms of worry, helplessness, and hopelessness. And they often discount their involvement in the childbirth. So what that means is that it's kind of hard to feel as if you are helping, even if their partners will then say that no, you being here was a lot better. You being here provided an immense amount of support. Studies are showing that it's difficult for fathers to kind of feel as if they are actually being supportive. And then we also are seeing an uptick in midwives, in doulas, in birthing support professionals in these experiences. And while that seems to be serving the wife or the mother a lot, it's actually, this is not causal, this is a correlation. I want to make that very clear. I'm not saying that this causes it. I'm just saying that because of this professional support that's being focused on the mother, fathers are actually reporting to feel even more left out of the experience. Imagine that you are trying to be a part of the experience. You already don't know what the hell to do. You're way out of your league. And then you have another person coming in and almost taking your spot.
Mm-hmm.
So in our experience, the people in the delivery room was myself and her mother. And I think her mother did a beautiful job in like walking her through it. And thankfully, like I was there to provide as much support. And so this particular part wasn't my personal experience, but I am speaking to quite a few clients who have doulas, who have midwives with them. And it does make me wonder, like, how much conversation is being had between the father and the midwife. While I imagine it's very soothing to hire a professional who will walk you through almost literally hand in hand the delivery process, where does that place the husband? Where does that place the father? The way that this study kind of looked at it is they measured worry. Worry showed up in 5 categories: the fear of unknown, the feelings of helplessness, feeling of being pushed out of the relationship and struggling to find a role, and fears about labor and birth, and concerns about their partners and baby's well being. So those are some big things that this particular study found out, that I think that if you are a therapist working with someone who's preparing to be a father, that this is likely something that you guys should be talking about. You had a little something, and then I have some kind of supports for those.
Oh, yeah, something that I found to just be like a very fun, I don't know, it felt very like heartwarming to me. And it kind of relates to how you were saying you didn't quite feel, that like connection, or that, oh my gosh, I am now a dad. My life has begun, kind of a feeling. And I was talking with, this was about a year ago, a fellow therapist who is a male, and he specializes in working with men. And he was telling me that there was research saying that when men hold their babies skin to skin for the first time, and I would assume this happens after like the first child, as opposed to like every child thereafter. But essentially, the first time you hold your baby skin to skin to yourself, it drops your testosterone to a level that it will never then like spike back up organically to where it was before.
Really?
And I thought that, yeah. And I was like, this is so interesting. And he was like, yeah, like I tell all my male clients, like, I think it's so fascinating, because he was a father. And I think he also, like, I don't want to say like struggled with some of these things, but found it very fascinating to be like, wait a minute. Yeah. Like, where do men fit into this? Or like, obviously my wife felt a connection. Our baby's connected to her. And so he was very passionate about finding out, okay, but wait, how are they seeing that men build these bonds then? If obviously it is different than how the wife is building the bonds. And it was just very, or the partner that is growing the child, but it was really cool for me to hear. And I'm sure if you do testosterone replacement therapy or blah, 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 like later in life, but I just thought it was fascinating that it's almost your body and the hormones like dip and like re-regulate to different levels the first time you hold your baby skin to skin. And so for what it's worth, I think it's absolutely fascinating.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Finishing us up, it might be smart for us to kind of offer some resources, kind of little conversations you might want to have if you have a partner that is a father. So, pulling from the Maternal Mental Health Leadership Alliance, they have some nice key facts. So, did you know that 1 in 10 fathers will experience depression or anxiety during pregnancy or the first year following pregnancy? Yeah. That according to research, depression and anxiety are twice as common in expecting and new fathers compared to the global estimates of men, and that the peak onset of depression for new fathers is 3 to 6 months following the birth of the baby. Untreated paternal depression can increase hostility and conflict at home, feelings of resentment towards the baby, negative parenting, and harsh discipline, such as spanking and corporal punishment. And so if you are kind of suffering from like a tough love dad, that might actually have a little bit of something to do with some paternal depression. And some of like the biggest risk factors or causes that they have is personal family history of depression, lack of social supports or networks, changes in hormone levels, which I think is really funny that you brought that up, issues concerning about the baby, issues concerning about the partner or spouse. And so I think that's where I kind of really fell into that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're bringing it up, Danny, because I mean, at least obviously we're therapists, but in my mind, yeah, geez, like no duh, men might experience this stuff. Because imagine you have no clue what you're expecting or the role of a dad until this happens. It gets kind of jumped on you a little bit. Again, I don't mean quicker, because obviously the mom's role completely changes too. But she has had kind of some feeling of, I'm doing this thing. The men don't as much. And so, yeah, to you or me, I'm sure we read this and it's like, oh, geez, yeah, someone's going to feel overwhelmed or anxious. Or then imagine the wife has postpartum. And okay, or the mom, how that's going to affect your partner. So I'm glad, though, that there's like, a study you found that's like really outlining all these things, because it feels like those times couples or people come in that are mentioning that these things are happening, and they're like, is this normal? Or like, is that crazy to say? And you're like, oh my God, no, that makes a lot of sense. And so I'm glad that you have it all kind of, that they outline all the different contributing factors that could be at play.
And I also want to like point people's attention towards like the Postpartum Support International. So you can find this on postpartum.net. This is a resource that actually has a page that's dedicated to dads. And here they have not only a helpline that you guys can call, but they also offer a lot of classes that are specifically for the fathers to be. And yeah, I think that this is something that we should be talking a little bit more about.
I love that. Gosh, I think so too. And this is kind of a random shout out, Danny, to things I've heard lately, just between friends or people kind of I know of that have been having kids lately too, is you guys have your wife's wonderful mother who is there all the time, it sounds like, with you to help. But for people who maybe don't have familial supports, and granted, these things I know can be like very expensive, but I have heard people say the number one best thing they've ever done is hire a night nanny, just some kind of extra support when you don't have, what's the phrase? Like, it takes a village. Like, when you don't have I was going to say, like, it takes a camp. When you don't have a village, I know that there are other services or providers that can help. Obviously, those come in probably a bajillion different forms, but for what it's worth, it is funny, like, hands down, anyone who I've heard of, that even if a family chips in and is like, hey, instead of a baby shower gift, we have all chipped in to like help get you someone for a few nights a week for a few months or something.
Ooh,
I've heard it has been such a game changer because people can actually like get sleep. If you don't have, oh my gosh, you guys are, how blessed to have her mom or, families that do have people close by. It really does take a village.
Yeah, it really does. And so that is my story. That is my story. My childbirth experience it was a beautiful experience. Really difficult. I didn't expect that as a father. I didn't know what to expect, and I'm really happy that everyone is safe and good. I think that experience has also helped me be a better clinician. So now I've learned a lot more since then. So I hope that those resources are helpful if you guys are either planning to start a family or if you guys already have a family. I think it'd be a smart thing to kind of check in on all the dads out there to see how they're doing.
This makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm just so glad that now, on our fifth weekend, that she's doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife's doing good. I mean, other than being sick this week or the other day, that was no fun. And I'm very glad that you, Dad of the Month award, good job. You take over when she's not feeling good. Cancel things you need to. Good.
Yeah, thank you. I could not do it without my amazing village. And Ollie, you are a part of that village. I had to cancel on you. And it is because I have like a good support system with you very near to the top that I do feel as if I am handling this as well as I can.
Yeah. I mean, what I find interesting is you've never popped on our calls feeling like where you look sleep deprived, where you seem stressed. You are I know we've talked about this. You're much more like even keeled on how you present than me. It's funny, even becoming a dad has not, I'm like, oh, okay, we're just still, okay, we're same old, hunky dory. We're still totally normal, I guess. So kudos to you, because I don't think I'd be so gracious.
Well, that's what I got for lunch. We're ready to go back to work.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I got a 3 o'clock. So, I guess late lunch today. But Danny, you're the absolute best. I'll see you soon, quite literally.
All right, Ollie. Bye-bye.